Hey there guys, welcome to Unveiling Wild. If your bank account is loaded and you're an aspiring watch collector, then this one is for you. From Rolex to Cartier, the world of watches is loaded with some extremely valuable pieces that are a dream to watch collectors. Here are the top 5 investment watches to buy that are not Daytona. Number 7. Luxury watches. If you're rich and have access to the luxuries of life, then you must have thought about buying extravagant luxury watches at some time in your life. When we think of luxury watches, the first brand that pops in an amateur's mind is Rolex. However, the world of luxury watches expands way beyond the realms of just Rolex. But this doesn't just mean that Rolex watches are not the trendsetters of luxury watches. Bringing class and luxury under one umbrella, Rolex has become a symbol of the elite and is worn worldwide. But this is only because Rolex has one of the most effective marketing strategies as compared to other watch brands. However, there are other brands, mostly based in Switzerland, which manufacture some of the most top-notch elite and luxury watches, which are way more expensive than Rolex. While Rolex watches can cost up to $500,000, there are watches that are way more exclusive than this. Some of these brands include names like Cartier, Roger Dubious, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Breguet, Blancpain, Louis Monet, Audemars Piguet, Piaget, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, and A. Lange & Söhne. Number 6. Are luxury watches a good investment? Well, now that you have a good idea of the luxury watch brands in the market, let's dive into the topic at hand. But before we see which watches are ideal for investment purposes, first, let's take a look as to whether or not luxury watches are a good asset in terms of investment. While the world is constantly evolving and shifting to digital means for almost everything, analog watches have somehow maintained their worth and are only growing in value. If you have the money to spare and can splurge on a few luxury watches, they're bound to reap you immense profits from their resale value. These unique luxury watches only tend to grow in their worth and tend to remain unique and timeless. However, there are a few things you should keep in mind before you start investing in watches. Firstly, make sure you can afford the watch and are not putting yourself in debt just for the sake of making an investment. Secondly, since your watch will be a physical asset, make sure that the money you've invested in this watch isn't needed by you immediately, since the liquidity of physical assets can be a hassle at times. Thirdly, before investing, make sure you're well aware of the market and are not being scammed while making an expensive purchase. Lastly, while these luxury watches can easily become an obsession, make sure that you don't get attached to your watch or else you won't be willing to sell it, thus nullifying the entire purpose of your investment. Number 5. Omega Speedmaster. With the Omega brand constantly evolving to bring in a touch of modernity that are timeless pieces, Omega recently revamped their classic Moonlight watches. Omega collaborated with Caliber 3861 to amp up the design of their professional Moonlight Speedmaster watch. However, this didn't work out in favor of the company, and even though the upgraded watch is more in line with the watches that the company is now making, fans and customers of the Omega Speedmaster believe that the original version was better. Some are saying that the upgraded version is too high-tech for a watch and has lost its original touch, which attracted them towards the brand in the first place. All this negative response towards the new watch can be seen as an opportunity for owners of the old Omega Speedmaster Moonlight, since the demand for this watch only seems to be going up. This increasing demand, matched by no production of new similar watches, can be seen as an investment opportunity, since watch enthusiasts will be willing to pay a ton of money for this watch. Number 4. Rolex GMT Master 2. Apart from the classic Rolex Daytona watches, Rolex released their GMT Master watches in collaboration with Pepsi. The release of the GMT Master 2 reference 126710BLRO sent fans and collectors of the Pepsi bezel into a frenzy. The release of this watch reignited a Pepsi fever that made collectors want to get their hands on watches that were released earlier as part of the Pepsi and Rolex GMT Master line. The prices of the old GMT Master and GMT Master 2 watches skyrocketed and reached almost double their initial price. With collectors looking for these watches and willing to pay through their nose, the owners of these watches started selling them for higher prices. It's now impossible to find a GMT Master watch that costs less than $10,000. We can only imagine how the new Pepsi bezel's price will react once Rolex comes up with a new version. Number 3. FP Journe Elegante 48. Journe Elegante is one of the big names in the world of watches. His unique style of watches, coupled with his problem-solving skills for any problem present in the world of watches, made him a superior watchmaker. When it comes to quartz watches, their limited battery life tends to be an issue for many. However, the Journe Elegante 48 resolves these problems with a battery life of up to 18 years. Journe used the quartz caliber 1210 to solve this problem, which resulted in the Journe Elegante 48 being a timeless timepiece. The watch is also equipped with a motion detector that sends the watch into an energy-saving mode if it doesn't detect any movement for 45 minutes, thus further extending the watch's battery life. The watch resumes its normal operations once the user picks it up without showing any discrepancies in time. Ever since its initial release, the price of the FP Journe Elegante 48 rose by 85% by the second quarter of 2021. However, the price of the FP Journe Elegante 48 seems to be on a constant upward trajectory and has been increasing ever since. If you can get your hands on an FP Journe Elegante 48, we'd suggest you invest in it. Number 2. Tudor Big Block. When you talk about Tudor watches, the first watch that comes to mind is the Tudor Black Bay 58. However, since its hype has started dying down, the price for the Tudor Black Bay 58 has also started going down. However, this isn't the case with the Tudor Prince Oyster Date Big Block 79180 and 79160. These watches were made back in 1976 and 1995. At the time of its release, the Tudor Big Block's automatic movement made it even better than the Rolex Daytona watches at the time. If you do a thorough search in the market, you'll be able to find the Tudor Big Block for up to $5,000. While $5,000 might not seem a lot for luxury watches, the Tudor Big Block is a good investment since the price of this watch seems to be increasing constantly. Number 1. Patek Philippe Calatrava Travel Time 5524G01. When talking about luxury watches, it's impossible not to mention at least one Patek Philippe watch. This Patek Philippe watch was placed in the exclusive Calatrava collection and is a pilot watch. The dials are made of solid white gold, and the bold yet distinctive design of this watch makes it an absolute must for many watch collectors and luxury watch enthusiasts. While the Patek Philippe Calatrava Travel Time 5524G01 did lose its popularity for a while, in 2015, Patek Philippe reminded the world of this iconic timepiece, and collectors all over the world started trying their best to get their hands on this watch. One thing that can be learned from this is that despite the inconsistency in the watch design, the unique and bold Patek Philippe designs are a good investment. Therefore, if you can get your hands on a Patek Philippe watch that has a similar design and is rumored to be discontinued by the company, make sure you buy it if you have the money to spare. Well guys, here's all you need to know about luxury watches and which ones you should invest in, apart from the Daytona watches of course. Let us know in the comments below whether you think this video was helpful or not. Do be sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content.